Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the Executive Director of the American Pyrotechnics Association. We're going to be talking about the rich history of this 77-year-old organization. We're going to be talking about their foundation and fireworks safety next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, we are coming up on fireworks season. This is the Super Bowl for everybody in the fireworks industry, and that's why I have my next guest on the show. Julie Heckman is in the studio. She's the Executive Director of the American Pyrotechnics Association. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I think we're both passionate about is fireworks safety, and you have an amazing foundation. Let's talk about that.
The American Pyrotechnics Safety and Education Foundation has just celebrated its 10th anniversary. It's affiliated with the American Pyrotechnics Association, which established the foundation as a vehicle for our next generation of leaders to really get involved in the industry. The foundation is focused on education, primarily educating youth. And the thinking behind that was, when we think about fire safety, we think about learning stop, drop, and roll at a very young age. And we took that same approach with fireworks safety, thinking if we can educate children at a very early stage about the dangers associated with fireworks, they might actually point out to their parents when they're doing something wrong, like, don't drink when we're having our fireworks celebration, Dad. So we've developed educational curriculum for grades 4 through 8 and 9 through 12, focusing on safety, the history of fireworks, the science and chemistry behind fireworks, as well as the engineering that goes into producing those big professional shows.
Sure. And people, they think that sparklers are harmless, but they have the same heat as like a blowtorch, don't they?
There is a misconception there that families think sparklers are safe for young children. They are not. You should never let young children handle any fireworks. Sparklers can be dangerous if they're misused. So, it's really important that there is proper parent supervision when any fireworks activities are going on, but really don't let young children handle sparklers. We don't give them candles. We don't give them lighters to play with. Same rule applies to sparklers. They do burn at very high temperatures.
Absolutely. We're going to put the foundation website on the screen, and as we scroll down it, celebrating 10 years of fireworks safety, that has to make you feel good that you're really educating the next generation.
Yeah, that has been the focal point behind the foundation. And, as the executive director of the American Pyrotechnics Association, I get dozens of inquiries each year from students who want to develop papers on the science of fireworks, or they want to know about safety or the history. And because of the curriculum we developed, we have different modules addressing all of those subjects. So we can easily, refer the students to the educational curriculum to help them have that background information to produce a really good paper for their teachers.
Absolutely. You guys produced an amazing safety video about a year ago. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Hey everyone, Battalion Chief Dean Guccione here with my friends from the American Pyrotechnics Safety and Education Foundation, and I'm here with a few tips to help you celebrate your holiday safely and responsibly. Nothing says America like fireworks on the 4th of July, and while today's consumer fireworks are safer than ever before, proper use plays a large role in preventing injuries. Only purchase fireworks from a reputable dealer. They only sell fireworks that have been tested and approved for sale in the United States. Dealers know state and local fireworks laws, including which types of fireworks are legal and when you're allowed to use them. Never buy illegal explosives. They are extremely dangerous. Remember to follow your local laws and be considerate of your neighbors. Select a proper location with a hard, flat surface away from houses, vehicles, tall trees, or any other flammable objects. Make sure to brace fireworks so they can't tip over and keep your audience at a safe distance. Let's talk about what goes into setting up a safe and injury-free fireworks show. First, become familiar with your fireworks. Read all warning labels, locate the fuse, and take note of any special features. Fireworks should always be placed on a hard, flat, and level surface. Avoid tall grass or loose dirt. Have a water source available in case there's a fire. The safety of your audience should always be a top priority. Whether it's a small family gathering or a big neighborhood party, make sure spectators are at a safe distance away and that your fireworks are properly blocked and braced. Let's talk about how to light your fireworks safely. Matches, cigarette lighters, and cigars are not reliable or safe. Instead, use a torch, barbecue lighter, or punk stick. Fireworks sometimes fail to fire. These are often called duds. Do not attempt to relight a dud firework. Instead, keep yourself and your audience a safe distance away and allow the dud to cool down. Then douse with water and dispose of properly. Fireworks get hot, and throwing them away too soon can cause a dangerous fire. Allow at least 20 minutes for your fireworks to cool off, then douse spent fireworks with water. Finally, place fireworks inside a metal trash can or dumpster away from structures. Everyone enjoys a celebration, if you know what I mean. But let's get serious. Alcohol and fireworks do not mix. In fact, drugs and alcohol are a contributing factor in many fireworks-related injuries. Fireworks should only be used by sober adults. Now let's talk sparkler safety. Sparklers burn very hot, over 1800 degrees. Children should never hold sparklers. Instead, a responsible adult should use them while children watch. Make sure to wear closed-toed shoes, avoid loose clothing, and keep sparklers away from flammable objects. When finished, douse sparklers with water and dispose of properly. Let's talk about the safe use of reloadable artillery shells. Never load a shell upside down. Most are marked with the word top so they can be loaded correctly. When loading a shell, be sure that no part of your body is over the tube. Here's a pro tip. Make sure the fuse is passing through the top loop to guarantee you load your shell correctly. Then use the fuse to safely lower it into the tube. Only use the mortar tube that was supplied with your reloadable shell kit. Using tubes from other kits or other materials can be extremely dangerous. And remember, mortar tubes must be blocked and braced so they can't tip over. Never attempt to hold or launch an artillery shell from any part of the body. Artillery shells create enough force to cause serious injury or even death. Thank you for watching these important fireworks safety tips, and remember to celebrate safely and responsibly.
I'm so glad that you're creating videos like that. I know emergency rooms will staff up this time of year just to make sure that they can handle the burn victims. Is there a commonality when people get injured by fireworks? Is there a common theme?
You know, the most contributing factor to firework-related injuries is product misuse. It's very, very important for you to thoroughly read and follow the instructions for use. A problem we've seen in recent years has to do with the very popular reloadable shells, also known as artillery shells, where individuals have not been placing them on a flat level surface and bracing them, but rather holding them in their hand, which is incredibly dangerous because there's no place for the energy to go. It's really important to follow the instructions for use. And when they say put it on a flat level surface, heed those directions.
Yes. I want to talk a little bit about the association. So we're going to put some video on the screen. You guys represent pretty much everybody who's anybody in the industry, from, the point of sale on the highway that we see this time of year to like the big kaboom towns. I mean, you're representing everybody, aren't you?
Yes, the APA represents manufacturers, importers, wholesalers, distributors, and professional display companies, as well as the theatrical pyrotechnics that people are familiar with with the rock concerts and the touring groups. So we represent everybody who has something to do with fireworks.
And tell us about the value of membership.
Well, the value of membership is, the APA is the voice of the firework industry. And along with our foundation, the other things that APA does is we advocate for responsible regulation of fireworks on the federal level. One of the issues we're dealing with right now happens to be the tariffs that do impact imported product, because backyard consumer fireworks, 99% of those are manufactured in China, and 90% of the professional display products are as well. So tariffs are a big issue on our radar, where APA is actively seeking an exemption. But we also develop all sorts of training programs to help guide the firework industry, because safety and compliance is the most important thing when you're dealing with a heavily regulated industry.
Yes, and I can't believe you guys have been around for 77 years. I can't think of very many associations that have been around as long as you guys. What do you think the secret to success is?
I believe APA was founded in 1948, and its primary purpose was to bring members of the industry together, but to work towards responsible regulation. And that led to the first regulations at the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission being promulgated in 1976. We've been a leader and an advocate for continuing to develop those regulations, providing training to our members, including transportation as well as display operator training. The growth in the articles pyrotechnic, or what we call proximate fireworks, before spectator audience that's closer than the big shows, but we're very engaged in all the code and standard development. And I think that's the real value that APA brings to its membership is, safety, compliance, and responsible regulation.
Do you think people get lackadaisical after a certain amount of time? I mean, if they've been shooting fireworks every 4th of July off at the lake, they just get a little lax?
That tends to be an issue. And I think people need to keep in mind, when you're dealing with fireworks, they're regulated as explosives. They are dangerous if you don't follow all the rules. You really need to follow the instructions. And in terms of, display operators, again, they have to have safety, has to be top of mind whenever you're handling or executing fireworks.
Outstanding. We only have a little time left. So, Julie, final thoughts. What would you like to leave people with?
I'd like to point out that our foundation has an entire library of fireworks safety videos. And these are very, very brief, less than a minute long, really important and helpful to educate the public on proper use. But this year we launched 4 brand new videos to address artillery shell safety, bottle rocket safety, and Roman candle safety. So I'd encourage everyone who's going to celebrate with fireworks, spend some time on our website, celebratesafely.org, and take advantage of these free resources to help make you have a safe and spectacular holiday.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us. We're going to end again with the foundation website, which is celebratesafely.org. The great Julie Heckman. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.